Mike Moore Media, the first place to hear Rockingham County news and information.
Our monthly Mayodan update is sponsored by Shelton's Airworks, Redbird Cafe, First Bank, and Airport Drive-In Restaurant. More about them in a little bit. Lessa Hopper, Mayodan Town Manager, is on the line. Hey, Lessa, how you doing?
Hey, I'm good. I hope you all are doing okay.
Well, it's good to have you back as usual. And I know you want to go back to the meeting this month and discussion on the golf carts. So could you bring us up to date on that for those that haven't heard? What's going on?
We had a lengthy discussion about the golf cart ordinance, and so there are, numerous people in town that are utilizing a golf cart and have gotten a permit through the town for their golf cart on the streets that are allowed by ordinance. And I think that this all came back up again because our ordinance is about 10 years old. I think it was approved back in 2008, 2009 for golf carts in the town of Mayodan on certain streets. And so I believe that there was some discussion recently in the public about the fairness of people who live, let's say, on the other side of on one side of Ayersville Road versus those that live on the other side of Ayersville Road being able to use a golf cart. And so those concerns were brought to a council member, and it was put on the agenda for discussion. And a lot has changed in 10 years. I think when the original ordinance was written, golf carts were not allowed on public highways. According to the North Carolina Department of Motor Vehicles, they were not allowed, and so the town was able to get an ordinance passed by going through a legislature local bill that was introduced for us and some other smaller communities to allow for a golf cart that mimicked those communities along the beach area, because communities at the beach area were having some state local bills written that allowed them to have ordinances that would allow for golf cart use in town. Mm-hmm. And so back at that time, Mayodan, it was unusual, and we were one of the front runners who got in on that. And so in 10 years now, lots and lots of communities across North Carolina got legislature to write local bills to allow them to do it also. And so it just became, more and more and more and more of those communities doing that. And so in that 10 years now, the state of North Carolina has actually passed laws that now do allow golf carts on state roads as long as the speed limit is 35 and below. And you can get your golf cart tagged through the DMV, just like a vehicle, if it meets certain guidelines. And so now that the state has made their golf cart their golf cart laws a little less stringent, then I guess it brought it up here in Mayodan as to why golf carts couldn't be on certain roads in Mayodan where they were, not allowed 10 years ago. Mm-hmm. And so our council has now they have the duty of trying to determine if they're going to change their ordinance to allow golf carts on those state-maintained roads that they were not allowed before. And so you're talking about like 2nd Avenue, which is Business 220, Highway 220, and Ayersville Road, and Turner Road, and Washington Street, and all of Main Street, which those were not allowed in the ordinance as it stands right now. And that, of course, brought up lots of other issues about the safety of them, and some individuals using their cart without getting it permitted through the town and without having the proper insurance or the proper equipment, or allowing someone who doesn't have a driver's license, a child, or a teenager or a child, drive a golf cart when that's not allowed. It has to be a licensed driver, or too many people on the cart for the number of seats, and things like that, and driving on streets that in our current ordinance are not allowed. And so there has become an issue of not abiding by the ordinance, and how can we use our ordinance either with amendments or changes to our ordinance and a different way of permitting our carts to make sure that people are abiding by the laws.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's possible. I mean, they have discussed going to a sticker type inspection system, much like a car, so that everybody's inspection runs out at the same time. Their permit and inspection runs out at the same time, and you have to get it renewed with reinspection and a sticker for the next year, so that it's easier for an officer to see which carts have actually been permitted through the town. Or, it's possible that they say that, carts would have to have tags from the state and be licensed through the state. I mean, there's a huge gamut there of things that they can do, and so they are working with the attorney to go over some state laws and liability issues and, working towards trying to find a better solution to amend the ordinance if an amendment is needed.
This is a complicated situation when it comes down to.
It's very complicated.
Yeah, and I know the police chief was there, Chief Caruso, and so you mentioned the safety issues. So you've got so many different levels involved here in all of this.
Right, and it is, and fortunately we have not had any golf cart accidents in Mayodan. I know that a couple years back, there was a serious golf cart accident in Eden with the death of a gentleman, and then there was a serious golf cart incident on Janet Road with an injury. And I mean, there is a huge safety factor for those. But when of course, when you're discussing like Ayersville Road and Washington Street and Business 220, you're talking about tractor trailer trucks and things like that. So our council does have a very serious matter to consider and decide what is best for the citizens of Mayodan. And so they are going to take that serious. They're working with the attorney and the police chief and looking at state laws and looking at our ordinance as it is written now, which, like I said, is a 10-year-old ordinance. And there are some things that probably should be changed about it. Currently, if you violate the ordinance, it's a civil penalty of $100, which, the town would just send you, a penalty letter and ask for you to pay your penalty. But it's possible that they are considering changing the ordinance where it would become a citation, much like a moving violation in a vehicle, where you're issued a citation and you have to go to court if you violate the ordinances as they're written. Mm-hmm. So there is lots to think about, lots to decide upon, and I don't envy their job.
No.
At all, because it's a big undertaking, and so they did do a lot of discussion at the meeting this past month, but they will discuss it again at the August meeting.
Okay. Well, all the best to everyone involved on that. That's
right.
an interesting issue for sure.
Right,
yeah,
it is.
Difficult. But make sure we do the right thing for
right.
everyone.
I mean, and you don't want to just make an amendment on the fly and then turn around and have to re-amend it the next month or the next month or the next month. So it's better if you just take everything into consideration, work with your attorney, work with your officials who, monitor this on a daily basis, like your police, and come to some agreement amongst the council members before making an amendment to a law, such that it's been thought about and worked on diligently, and all avenues and aspects have been researched and looked at and given careful thought.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Okay. So more to come on that.
More to come on that.
Yeah. But let's get to a positive situation. I was really encouraged in the meeting this month as you talked about the good things that are happening at Ferris Memorial Park. So if you expand on that a little bit, I know the feasibility study and the bike trail and disc golf and markings for the trail. So that's looking good. So bring us up to date.
It really is. That last year, in last year's budget, the council appropriated funds to do some improvements at Ferris Memorial Park, and then that continued with the current budget that was just passed for July 1st. And so we hired a gentleman who is actually a master trail builder, Mr. Tony McGee with Round Rock Design, and he actually designed our mountain bike trail. And so we engaged his services to give us some assistance with the disc golf course and also with some preliminary drafting, researching, planning work towards a camping area, RV and camper area at Ferris Memorial Park. And so he presented at the Thursday night agenda meeting. He couldn't be at the Monday night regular meeting, but he came before council at their agenda meeting and gave them an update on his planning process. And he originally planned and preliminarily planned out for like 24 pads for RVs, but he said that he felt that our park was fully capable of hosting as many as 40 RVs at one time. And he said that it's just the perfect location. There's so much there to offer. He thinks that, because he's worked with other small campgrounds, other municipalities, and other privately owned campgrounds on plan and design work, and he's putting us up against some of those other ones, and he says that, our park has so much to offer campers with the miniature golf, the bike trail, the driving range, the shelters, the ball fields, and playground equipment and all that. So he just thinks it will be very popular. He thinks that it will go over very well, and particularly when we host things like the NICA race and mountain bike races, and hopefully in the future disc golf tournaments and things like that, soccer tournaments and all that. But he did indicate that probably our most expensive and highest hurdle is going to be the septic system, which will be more expensive. That'll be our most costly thing about the park, would be providing the septic system. But, we could have electricity run, water run, and have a septic system and have a fully functioning RV park, and it would be a tremendous draw, I think, for our park. And so he has worked on a preliminary plan for that, and we're excited to try to do some more work for that.
It's exciting.
I'm sorry.
Well, I was going to say it's exciting to see where that park started, where Ferris Memorial Park began, and look at what's been added, and look at it just gets better and better. Yeah,
and we have the 5-mile mountain bike trail now, and he is working on a grant for us, a full grant with no matching funds, only in-kind work, towards another 5 miles of the bike trail, and it would be on the opposite side of the road, which it would be kind of behind where the tennis courts used to be, but if we are successful in getting that grant, oh my gosh, it would be wonderful, and we would have 10 miles of mountain bike trail here in Mayodan, and it would draw so many visitors because you're talking about not just a day race or a day bike. A lot of people would come to spend the night to ride the trail in 2 days. And, you ride it one way one day and then reverse your direction and ride it the other way the next day, and 10 miles of trail on a mountain bike, it would just be such a feather in our cap. So we are very hopeful that we'll get that grant for an additional 5 miles to our trail.
Oh, I hope so too. That's already a nice mountain bike trail, and no one else in the county has that.
No, and it would just be so great to have that grant and be able to do that fully funded with grant money for both parts. And then, of course, the disc golf, we have completed 9 baskets, and I'm not a disc golf player, so I continue to use the terminology for golf. I keep saying holes, and I don't know if I'm supposed to say holes or if I'm supposed to say baskets, but 9 are complete, and we receive sponsorship for each hole from local businesses, and so their signs will be there that they are sponsoring that basket, and this year we will begin to work on installing the last 9 holes. And so then we would have an 18-basket course, and hopefully that would draw some tournaments in and bring people from other areas here to visit the park and participate in the disc golf. And so we're very excited about that. Like I said, I'm not a disc golf player, but I hope to get myself up there and do a lot of practicing and trying it, and I think I might be a little better at that than I actually would at golf.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, maybe I should come try that with you.
I
Because
know. I think we should get a little league together of amateurs, people
Oh.
who've never played before.
Amateur,
and
the
we'll
key
start
word
a little,
there. Yeah.
Start a little league and see how well we can do,
Okay.
how well we can improve.
Yeah, well, let me know how that comes together. Okay.
But